justice and peace and equality.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. Today, we have a special guest, my guy, Mr. Nick Peebles, banker, businessman, entrepreneur. I mean, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Man, we've been trying to make this happen for a while.
Hey, man, much love, much love. Now, today, we talked about finance.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we walked together yesterday, exercised together,
Absolutely.
and we were having a conversation. You're a banker in the Metro Atlanta community. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, tell us a little about who Nick Peebles is, and tell us, a little about your background.
Yeah, so I've been in finance for about a decade now, specializing in finance and mergers and acquisitions.
Okay.
As well as commercial real estate acquisitions, major construction projects. So I've done a little bit of everything, most on the lending side.
Okay.
Then I've done some consulting work as well.
Okay. And so when did you get started in banking?
Man, I want to say my first banking job, man, was in college.
All right.
So I've been knowing it was either NFL or it was something related to me wearing a suit every day.
Right.
So first job, man, was in college. I wanted a job so bad, brother, I was walking to work every morning.
Okay.
But that was the first job, man, in college. That's where it started.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Now, yesterday we were walking, exercising as we do in the morning, trying to keep health, on the forefront, and we were talking about finances, and we were talking about the state of finances in America today, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me, where is banking, and what is the state of banking today?
So, banking it's always contingent upon who's in office, right? So regulations always dictate the health of the banking sector.
Okay.
I would say overall, just like any other industry, we're going through some challenges, right? Because there's a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
So a lot of what we do is based off of consumer confidence, the ability to loan money out, right?
Yes.
So businesses and investors want to take loans to fund these deals.
Right.
So I would say right now, man, a lot of people's on the sideline. It's some gray area going on right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, with tariffs in place, we know that we know Donald Trump is in office right now. Some people saying it's a good thing. Some people saying it's a bad thing. Some people are saying he's making America great again. He's making all of these things. Yeah. Neither here or there. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the average American consumer, right? What are you seeing on the banking side? Are finances dropping, or consumers, dwindling their bank accounts? Are they saving? Are they invested in money market accounts? What's going on?
So I would say there's a couple different sides in terms of banking.
Okay.
So I'm more so in the middle market, the corporate side.
Okay.
But just to speak to on the consumer side, people are living paycheck to paycheck. Wow. Right? So it is hard for people to make their daily obligations, financial obligations, whether it's putting food on the table,
yes,
gas in the vehicle.
Okay.
It is hard, and we are seeing a retrenchment within the economy. But also, it depends on what community are we talking about.
Okay.
Right? Because every community is not being impacted the same way.
Right.
So, but for the everyday hardworking American, they are feeling the prices of eggs.
Okay.
They're feeling the prices of gas, and just overall living expenses.
Yeah. So particularly in the African American community.
Okay.
Where our most of our listeners who listen to this show are in the African American community.
Yeah.
And do you see a rise in entrepreneurship first? And are you seeing entrepreneurs get what should I say, loans to start up their business? Like what's the nature of the African American entrepreneur right now versus what it was maybe 4 years ago?
So I would say by nature, we've always been creators.
Okay.
So I am seeing a lot of people dive into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I would say in terms of the access to capital, that's always something to where the system has always need to do a better job at.
Okay.
In terms of putting money into the hands and the pockets of the people that really need it.
Right.
But I will say this though, a lot of times we talk about entrepreneurship, but the reality is there are steps that people need to take before diving into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So I tell everybody. So my father told me. My father, he was a CPA auditor, everything like that.
Okay.
So it's three of us, me and I have two younger brothers.
Right.
And he used to always tell us that regardless of what you do, you need to understand how to read the balance sheet.
Okay.
And the P&L.
Okay.
So have a baseline understanding of accounting.
Okay.
So I say that because our people who want to dive into entrepreneurship, we got to at least understand finance. We have to understand the baseline of accounting.
Okay.
So although I'm seeing a lot of people dive into entrepreneurship, at times we don't have the skill set needed to be able to sustain and scale the business.
Well, what about, so now, I've been doing advertising going on 15 years, and I've worked with businesses from the start, from when they launched the business, and most time I'm hearing it's a passion, it's a dream I've always had, it's, this is my gift.
Yeah.
So, you telling me that's not enough?
It's not. It's not enough, brother, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Talk to me.
I believe that it's a good starting point.
Okay.
Right? So being able to have that drive, having that vision, whatever God deposited into you, believe that to be true, but now there's other additional things that you need to do behind the scenes in order to bring that to fruition. Gotcha.
Okay, so if I'm an entrepreneur starting in 2025 in banking, and I'm coming to your bank, I'm just starting, what are some of the things that I need to have in place, to convince you to give me some money?
Great question. So I work for one of the largest banks in America.
Okay.
And a lot of people have to understand that every bank has a different credit box.
Okay.
So you may go to ABC Bank and try to get a loan, and they deny you, right?
Right.
But then you go across the street to 123 Bank.
Okay.
And then they approve you.
Right.
So number one is about understanding which bank is small business friendly.
Okay.
Some banks are really good at throwing having events for small businesses.
Right.
Having different mixers and stuff.
Okay.
But they're not putting money in your pocket because they won't lend to you.
You're exactly correct.
Right? And then you have other banks to where they're really good at lending to small businesses.
Okay.
So just understanding which banks to go to.
All right. So as a small business owner in banking, in business banking today, what type of, does it depend? Does it depend on my demographic? Does it depend on where I'm placing the business? Like, do I need a business plan? What do I need to bring to the bank in order to get, a jump start, at least to get you to look at the paper and take me serious?
Yeah. So number one, I would say this, it depends on the type of loan. So we talking about a loan for a startup, then we do want to see a business plan.
Okay.
And we are going to want to understand the industry, right? But then the main thing that a lot of people miss, because I see a lot of people talk about credit.
Okay.
Credit is not as important as what you think it is in terms of your credit score. What we really look at is what's your experience and what's your background and what's the industry trend that you're trying to what's the industry trend for the business that you're looking to start.
Okay. And talking about industry trends in the African American community, we see a lot of barbershops. Yeah. We see a lot of salons. Yeah. We see a lot of yard services. We see, and these businesses don't often push their brand. They kind of like, social media, build, in a building. How are those businesses looked upon as sustainable businesses?
So everything you just mentioned, we categorize as it's more so fragmented markets, right? So whenever you look at lawn services, let's just say roofing companies, fence companies, all these salons, that's considered fragmented.
Okay.
There's a lot of opportunity for someone to get into a fragmented industry, especially if the barrier to entry is low.
Okay.
However, we look at scalability, right? So Do you have the ability to properly scale within the business that you're looking to start?
Right.
So I never forget, early on in my career, I had a client, and this was a candle making business.
Okay.
Right. And at the time I was young. Right. I was brand new in the industry, and I wanted to give these people $50,000.
Yes.
Right. Because I'm a young banker, and my why for getting into it is I just want to help people access capital.
Most definitely.
So, however, the business model was not scalable.
Okay.
Right. And because the business model was not scalable, we were not able to lend to them.
Oh, wow.
So I would say ensure that your business model is scalable.
Okay.
Because we want to see a scalable business.
Correct. And when you say, lawn service, hair service, and salon service, we see those businesses are common, pressure washing businesses, those type of things. Mm-hmm. Are you guys like looking at a long term, a short term? Like, what's the common parameters? Is it like a 5-year thing you're looking at, or a 10-year venture you're looking at? In order to make sure that this business is funded, because let's just say you have a lawn service. I know a couple of lawn guys who've made $1 million, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so when it comes to it, how do you put that? And say, hey man, you have a lawn service, and this is your projected income. You're probably in the 5-year range of being in business. Where do we go and say, hey, okay, we can shape this model where we can give you some money?
Great question, loaded question.
Okay.
To make it simple, I would say it depends on the loan product.
Okay.
Right. So if we're looking at a SBA 7(a) loan,
okay,
typically the terms on that, it can go anywhere from 10 to 25 years.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
In terms of being able to amortize that payment to pay us a loan back.
Okay.
So let's just say it's a 10-year loan.
Right.
So what we will look at, and again, it depends on the loan type.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I always gotta throw that out there. Not trying to be difficult, but it depends on the loan type.
So
again, SBA 7(a). Let's just say if it's a lawn service business.
Okay.
Right. And let's say you're trying to start up a lawn service business.
Right.
Well, the first thing we're gonna look at is, again, do you have experience out, right? And again, I just want to set the stage properly.
Yes.
Do you have experience? Well, with the lawn care business, the barrier to entry is relatively low, right?
Okay.
So but nonetheless, you will want to be able to show us that you can cash flow over the next 10 years.
Okay.
In order to repay back that debt.
Now, let me ask you this, because you mentioned SBA.
Yeah.
And in around 2019, 2020, we had COVID epidemic. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody was getting money, filing with the bank, saying, hey man, I want to get my ELID loans and
idle loans and
all of that. Yeah. The government was giving away money hand over fist.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't use the money for the right thing. Some people used it for the right thing. Some people didn't.
Right.
All right. So are banks looking at, okay, well, you had XYZ during this time, and you have you may have something to show for it. You may not have something to show for it.
Yeah.
But are they looking at that, with this new regime that's in office, saying, hey, well, we gave them $40,000-$50,000. We don't know if they can manage it or not. If we give them more money.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Okay.
No. So again, the main thing we look at is the historical cash flow.
Okay.
So as a lender, that's the main thing I care about. Historically, what have you done? Right. Have you been profitable over the previous 3 years? Okay. And are you profitable year to date?
Okay.
So anything regarding loans you've got before in the past, as long as you didn't file bankruptcy or you're still paying on that obligation, we don't care about the debt. Because whenever I look at a loan, I request something called a debt schedule. Okay. And on that debt schedule, it shows me all of your debts. Okay. Right? As long as you're in good standing with that debt, I don't care. As long as you cash flow,
that's a
be
good
good.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, and that matters. I believe paying your bills on time, making sure you're fluent in everything you're doing. When it comes down to handling your business, people want to see that on paper as well. Now, food for the entrepreneur. What are let's say 3 steps you would give an entrepreneur to take advantage of some of the things that banks are offering now today in business finance today? What are 3 things you think that a business owner can take advantage of?
So I'm gonna answer it a little bit differently.
Okay.
So I would say, in terms of what I would tell an entrepreneur, is buy and not build. Right. So a lot of times we get into entrepreneurship, and we start from scratch. Okay. We build it from scratch.
Man.
Right? And we don't realize that instead of trying to build this lawn care service from scratch, there's a whole marketplace where you can go buy a business.
Correct.
Right? Correct. So, the analogy that I always love to use with people is whenever you want to go buy a home, or whenever you want a home, new family home. Right. Do you go to, Lowe's to go buy the hammer, the nails, the 2x4, the plywood, the door, the windows? Or do you go on Zillow or another marketplace to look for already existing homes? Right. So it's the same way in terms of business. Okay. You don't have to build the business from the ground up.
That's interesting.
You can go buy it. You can go buy $1 million business with it. It's 10% down.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting. Man. So you're telling me, and like I said in the beginning of the show, a lot of people start their business. Oh, I had a dream to be a beautician. I had a dream to be a whatever. But you're telling me one of the best options and one of the key things that we're missing out on is buying into business.
Business acquisitions.
Business acquisitions, man. Tell us about that build and buy. Tell us about that build versus buy process you were just.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal because it accelerates your growth. Because now, if you go buy a business, you're buying the customers. Okay. You're buying the infrastructure. You're buying the equipment. You're buying the workers. Okay. Right. So now you're not starting from the ground up.
Man.
You walking into a position to where it's already cash flowing. Okay. And a lot of times, whenever I'm structuring these loans for clients, I'm also building in your salary. Right. So you're also paying to have your own salary. Right. But if you're building from the ground up, you don't have a salary.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Man, we're going to go to a commercial break because we got to take a commercial break and recognize some of our sponsors, man. But we got Nick Peebles, entrepreneur, banker, right here on Voices of the Village podcast where change starts the conversation. You guys stay tuned.
And equality, now the world they will see. That's why.